Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a cold, wintry day here in the mega region of I-64 Innovation Corridor. Hope you're all staying warm today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Greg Gilligan. I'm the Vice President of Operations for RVA757 Connects. This is our latest in our latest edition of the RVA757 Connects Innovation Spotlight webinar series. And we have a very interesting program today about how SVT Robotics is transforming industrial automation and how valuable resource that the Innovate Hampton Roads provides to help startups thrive. Let me give you a couple housekeeping matters. I'll introduce our sponsor this month, which is Cox Communications. I'll give you guys an update on RVA757 Connects. Then we will delve into today's topic, and we'll leave some room for Q&As, and I'll give you an update on what's happening next. And as a reminder, we record all of our Innovation Spotlight webinar series, and we put them on our website after the the webinar takes place. And also, if you have any questions that you have for the speakers, please use the Q&A function in the chat box and send them to me, and then I will be able to ask those questions. RVA757 Connects is a nonprofit organization, so we rely on donations. As you can see, we have a number of corporate sponsors, and one of them, or investors as we call them, is Cox Communications. And here to tell us more about Cox is Jeff Merritt. Jeff is the Vice President and Market Leader for Cox Communications in the Hampton Roads region. This is a new role for him. He started on January 1st. He replaces Neka Chiazor, who had been on our board and on our executive committee for the past year before leaving Cox at the end of last month to become president of the Public Affairs Council based up in Washington, D.C. We thank her for her service on our board. In his new role, Jeff is responsible for leading employees and the day-to-day operations across the Hampton Roads market. He also is involved in fostering strong partnerships with charitable, civic, and business organizations to maintain the company's longstanding commitment to the community. Previously, Jeff served as Vice President of Residential Sales for Cox Communications in Virginia and as the market leader for Cox's operation in the Roanoke area. He joined Cox in 2000. He holds a BS in psychology from Old Dominion University and a master's of natural resources and global sustainability from Virginia Tech. So Jeff, I'll take it away. Tell us more about Cox.
Hey, thank you very much. And it's great to be here today. You're right. It's a start of a new year and a start of a new role for me. It's big shoes to fill with Neka leaving, but I'm really thrilled to be here and to be with you all today. Certainly wanted to spend a few minutes to share a little bit about the importance of connection in the digital age. At Cox, connection is really at the heart of everything that we do, not only through our network infrastructure, but also just building those bridges between people and organizations and ideas. And so we recognize that the future depends on seamless connections that enable businesses and communities to thrive. So I'll spend a little bit of time sharing about Cox in general, then I'll talk a little bit about a couple of different elements of our business that might be relevant for everyone here. You can go to the next slide if you'd like. We have a 125-year legacy of family ownership. In fact, our CEO is the fourth generation leader. And those family values from the Cox family really echo throughout our company. That includes things like our partnership with organizations like RVA757 Connects. And right now we're on a major push to complete a big project of connecting everyone, universal connection in New Kent County, for example. So a lot of big projects like that. And we're investing millions of dollars along the I-64 innovation corridor to really ensure that businesses and residents have access to the technology they need to succeed now and into the future. Those investments will deliver multi-gig symmetrical speeds. And I know not everybody here is maybe up on all of the technology, but that just basically allows both residential and business customers to, handle the ever-growing need for connectivity and the overall Internet of Things, I guess you could say. These investments help to ensure our neighbors living in more rural parts of the region are also connected to the internet. I would say at Cox, we believe that everyone, regardless of their zip code, deserves to have access to fiber-based broadband at home. I'll tell you a little bit about a new area. If you want to go to the next slide, a new area that we're in 2023. We were really pleased to introduce Cox Mobile. It's our wireless service exclusively available to our Cox Internet customers. It runs on a network with unbeatable 5G reliability at a really great value. And it's simple. We have two plans. There's a pay by the gig for $15 per month per gig of data, or there's a $45 a month for unlimited data. The more lines that you get with us, that average price per line goes down even more. So right in line with any other mobile provider. It includes unlimited talk and text and additional international plan options and stuff like that. And so our Cox Internet customers actually also save more on their monthly internet bill when they bundle it with Cox Mobile. So just even more advantage of having those products together. If you want to go to the next slide, share a few things about Cox Business. We're very passionate about supporting local businesses at Cox. It's really the heart and soul of how Cox drives the economy in our markets, and certainly here in Hampton Roads. Cox Business currently powers over 355,000 businesses nationwide. We have a very impressive 99.9% network reliability, which means that businesses have very minimal downtime and have very consistent service. We have 24/7 IT support and seamless self-service portals, so our customers can really manage their services and get things resolved really quickly. And we also provide cloud-managed cybersecurity solutions, and so it's not just the connectivity coming. We also have cloud-based services that allow you to safeguard your network and data from cyber threats, and provide services to make sure you don't lose connection and keep your business up and running. We are very much we're very much not a one-size-fits-all approach, I guess I should say. Cox Business delivers personalized attention and solutions to really meet every business's specific needs. Next slide. I'll hit on Cox Media a little bit. And as business leaders, we at Cox, and I know you all would understand the importance of marketing and advertising for your businesses in high stakes, saturated markets. And that's where Cox Media comes in. Cox Media allows you to get access to a specialized team of experts who will collaborate with you on your entire marketing strategy and really set you up for long-term success. And so that may be increasing sales or appointments, donations, referrals, whatever it may be. The team there at Cox Media will help you identify your target audience and create a multi-channel strategy, really to help reach those potential clients or customers where and when they're most likely to act. And we certainly can advertise on our multi-channel services through our Cox Video product or other video providers in the area, but also on streaming channels like Hulu or gaming consoles like PlayStation, social media channels, whatever it may be. And so Cox Media is really an all-inclusive support mechanism for reaching the folks that you want to reach where you need to reach them. And one last slide just to kind of close it out. At Cox, hopefully it's clear that we're rooted in building a better future for the next generation. And it means that we have to have strong businesses and a thriving community around us. We want to be contributors to that. And we've done that in Virginia for more than 45 years, and we remain committed to serving the people and businesses here in the Commonwealth for years to come. And so this picture I love because it demonstrates our 34 by 34 mission, which is an element of our parent company, Cox Enterprises, where we're working to impact positively impact the lives of 34 million people by the year 2034 through various initiatives, whether it be education, environmental, financial support, whatever it may be. And it's a major mission for us, and we're on track to achieve it in a little bit less than a decade. And so really proud to work for this company and the impact that we're having in all the different markets that we serve, particularly here in Hampton Roads. And so it's been great to be able to share a little bit of this with you and share the story of Cox. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the information about Cox. Just so you know, I used to work for the very first Cox property ever with the Dayton Daily News, which started the entire Cox Enterprise
You did, yes.
network system. So I used to work there back in the day. So
yes. Governor Cox founded that 125 years ago, and it's still a part of the Cox enterprises.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you for the information and welcome into your new role. I just want to also take a moment to thank all of our corporate and individual sponsors for their financial support. Here's just a list of some of our corporate supporters of RVA757 Connects. And that's a great segue for me to tell you a little bit more about RVA757 Connects. We are an organization that's bringing the power of convening, connecting, and collaborating. We have a mission dedicated to improving the economic success and quality of life for everyone in the Richmond area, which we call RVA, and the Hampton Roads region, which is called 757. We're an association of leaders representing businesses, community, and higher education. And we're advancing the Hampton Roads to Richmond mega region as the I-64 Innovation Corridor. As you can see, we're pursuing a number of different priorities. Our top one is the helping the I-64 Innovation Corridor become a global internet hub, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And we also are advocating for multi-use trails, such as the Trail 757, which formerly had been called the Birthplace of America Trail. You can get more information about that trail and on all of our initiatives on our main website, RVA757connects.com. I mentioned our top priority is to spearhead the efforts to have the Richmond to Hampton Roads mega region designated as a global internet hub. We spent much of 2022 and 2023 developing a strategic plan to make this happen, and last year and now this year, we're implementing that plan. The bottom line is that the digital assets we have puts our mega region on our way to becoming a global internet hub. When you view the Richmond area and the Hampton Roads regions together, we have these core components or digital assets, so to speak, in place needed to become a global internet hub. This 3-foot by 2-foot map explains visually how the I-64 Innovation Corridor becomes a global internet hub by combining the digital assets of both the Richmond region and Hampton Roads. If you'd like to get a copy of this, please let me know and I'll put one in the mail for you. On the opposite side of this map brochure lists the 10 strategies. You can take a look at them by you can look at that and the map a little bit closer by going to our website or to globalinternethub.com website and click on the map to get more information. This will, and again, help us spread the word about what's going on. So part of the Global Internet Hub initiative, RVA757 Connects is championing a strong and expanding digital infrastructure to enable world-class communications and connectivity. That will meet the evolving technology demands of existing and emerging industries. Modern digital infrastructure includes subsea cables, data centers, local terrestrial networks, internet exchanges, connecting these networks, and trunk lines to other localities, all fueling everything from cloud computing to e-commerce to artificial intelligence-driven manufacturing. A powerful digital infrastructure supports the growth of high-paying jobs and IT and tech jobs, and ensures the industries of tomorrow will locate and expand in the I-64 Innovation Corridor. All of this will help us grow our overall GDP, our workforce productivity per worker, our wages, and in turn, the economic prosperity for everyone in the mega region. Virginia is at the center of a significant debate around the future of data centers. Recent discussions, especially in the General Assembly, have focused on potential limits and regulations. Meanwhile, the Joint Legislative Audit Review Commission issued a report about data centers last month. Yet a crucial point is being overlooked in all of these, and that is that data centers are one piece of a larger digital infrastructure which has broad sets of benefits, opportunities, and challenges. Data centers are the backbone of our connected world, managing the surge of data from smart devices to artificial intelligence technologies. You can learn more about how Virginia's data center is playing a vital role in modern day life through a series of video commercials that Virginia Connects has created. Virginia Connects is a nonprofit organization representing a broad coalition of stakeholders, including RVA757 Connects, that supports the essential infrastructure data centers provide in our daily lives in our modern 21st century economy. Watch the videos on our homepage, RVA757 Connects website, or you can go to the VirginiaConnects.com website as well. Virginia Connects is also spreading the message by mailing out flyers to residents in Northern Virginia and to some areas in the Richmond region as well. And we gave our Global Internet Hub initiative a soul by recruiting a national nonprofit organization called PCs for People, which is the largest and most successful computer refurbisher operating in large U.S. markets with a vision to end the digital divide. PCs for People founder and CEO Casey Sorensen officially announced at our Convergence 2024 conference in early October that PCs for People has selected the Richmond to Hampton Roads mega region as its next expansion market. PCs for People collects outdated computers at no cost to the donating businesses or organizations. They refurbish these old computers and installs the latest software. Then they provide these renewed desktop systems to underserved residents and families for free, or a late model PC laptop, for instance, up to $150. The nonprofit organization has been perfecting this model for over 20 years, partnering with thousands of companies and organizations and other local refurbishers as well. PCs for People expects to have its local operations here in the mega region operational in the spring. The nonprofit recently purchased a former Save-A-Lot grocery store building on East Pembroke Avenue in Hampton, which is next to a Dollar Tree store, and that will serve as its retail operations and its refurbishing and distribution center. So now let's talk about today's topic. SVT Robotics was founded in 2018 to address a very critical challenge of technology interoperability, which has long hindered industries relying on different technologies from multiple manufacturers. Norfolk-based SVT Robotics is revolutionizing industrial robotics and automation with its innovative software platform that simplifies and accelerates the deployment of robotic and autonomous systems in warehousing, in manufacturing, in automotive, healthcare, and even defense. We'll also hear how Innovate Hampton Roads helped SVT Robotics and other startups get started and succeed by nurturing a robust ecosystem that connects entrepreneurs to essential resources, mentorships, and funding opportunities. Our first speaker will be A.K. Schultz. He's the CEO of SVT Robotics. He leads the overall company's vision and go-to-market strategies. He has spent his career leading the design and implementation of high-profile automation projects across multiple industries at top Fortune 500 companies. He provided this provided him the foundation to launch SVT Robotics in 2018. And then after he speaks, sorry about that, hit the wrong button there. After he speaks, then we'll hear from Tim Ryan, who is the Executive Director of Innovate Hampton Roads, which fosters the growth and development of innovation and technology ecosystem in Hampton Roads. He's been with Innovate Hampton Roads for nearly 5.5 years. Under the Innovate Hampton Roads umbrella, Tim serves as the director of Reactor, which is the City of Hampton's Technology Innovation Center, and he's the program director of Start Peninsula, which is the region's longest-running business validation platform. Just as a reminder, before I turn the program over to AK, let me remind everyone that if you have any questions, please use the chat function to be able to ask questions for our speakers. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to turn it over to AK to continue.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Greg, and thanks for Tim and all the support the Hampton Roads business development region organizations have provided us. It's I think when you build an ecosystem of startups, um, giving them additional probability of success is massive, especially in early stages, and we certainly benefited from that. So, well, thanks for having me today. You know, I was asked to tell a little bit about our company and what we're doing, and maybe a backstory of how I got started in this. I was an Army officer who went to work for after I got out of the Army at Newport News Shipbuilding in the nuke engineering group, but I was recruited to work for a Swiss company that was building automation for the largest retailer in the United States here and I got my start working for this Swiss company, and over time, over the course of almost 15 years, I built somewhere about, I think I was involved in $750 million worth of automation projects in my career. And over that time, you really begin to understand these like real problems that make it really difficult to implement automation. And so I would say that all of this accumulates, and then in 2017, I had, I guess, my epiphany while working on a massive electric car plant on the West Coast, um, where there was about $1 billion worth of automation going in from companies that were our biggest competitors. We had about 150 million just by ourselves. And but getting us to work with our biggest competitors was kind of like getting the Batman and the Joker to team up and be buddies. And what you see is that there's enormous friction. There's technical friction, there's contractual and organizational friction and political friction that just makes it so darn hard to make things work. And in that moment, this seed grew, and ultimately what we decided to do was build this technical Switzerland, if you will, where our entire focus was to enable interoperability by just doing that as a company. And our belief was that companies that made robots or companies that made software, if they try to make their own interoperability layer, it's always for the purpose of bringing them business or creating walled gardens. And us being a company that just focused there, our only job is to make interoperability faster, and specifically autonomous interoperability between physical edge systems and large enterprise software systems. And so I think the superpower our early stage team had was we were just keenly aware and had a high amount of knowledge about what we call the monster under the bed. And this monster under the bed is this thing that everyone feels and knows is there. It's really hard to get things tied together, but no one really knows why. And what we saw was this entire industry was bottlenecked by what we call the Jenga tower of code, right? So all these stick-built point-to-point integration systems, as you start to tie them together, become increasingly fragile and brittle to the point where if you want to make a change, it's like pulling one block out of that Jenga tower and everything can fall apart. So it's massively difficult and to maintain. And this is also known in the software world as monolithic code, right? And as you add more and more systems, the more monolithic and hard to change these things are. And this creates what's called technical debt. And over time, this technical debt becomes more and more oppressive and problematic for your organization to the point where like the technologies that you're adopting that were meant to like make you better and be your like savior now have basically become a prison of technology that the irony is the more technology you add, the more hardened the prison is. And if you don't manage it well, eventually this technical debt will fossilize your company because you're paralyzed in your ability to upgrade, and you say, hey, I want to add this. And what you realize is I'm going to have to change 10 systems to make this happen. And this is becoming just increasingly difficult every day, especially with generative AI entering the picture. Just the pace of technology obsolescence is accelerating, and the organizations that can adapt continuously are the ones that will lead to the future. But literally, like, it used to be like something you bought wouldn't be legacy for 5-10 years. Now technologies are turning into legacy systems in 2 to 5 years, and sometimes in Gen AI even faster. So this ability for us to maintain all this, or IT departments to maintain all this, is increasingly difficult, especially when you say, I want to tie all these things together and I want to maintain a cybersecurity platform or profile that is very hardened. It just becomes super difficult. And then when you introduce the physical component, physical devices, it makes the problem order of magnitude more difficult. And so, the Jenga tower kind of looks like this. The Jenga tower code, it's all this spaghettified code that is tied together. And you can see as you add systems, there's this like tipping point at like 5 systems where, if you tie 5 systems together, anything you change has a cascading effect. And so what you're going for when you're tying all these systems is this orchestration environment where autonomous interoperability is all these independent agents working in concert to make, a symphony, right? But what most companies actually have are all these little one-man bands of technologies grafted together, hodgepodge, and it certainly doesn't sound as good as a symphony when it's actually working, and it just does not simply scale. And so the platform we built, we took a completely different approach and said, the best way for everything to work autonomously together is for them to have zero awareness of each other and to all communicate and publish through a common platform with a data normalization layer that makes all payload types convert into a common approach, such that you can consume things that you don't even know, you have no relationship with. And what does this look like in real life? So we had one of the large, in fact, I think they're like the 7th largest non-government employer on the planet, very large company. He came to us and asked, hey, can you tie in these robots into an AS400, which is, for those of you who don't know, that's a mainframe system. So green screen type WMS. So this is the ultimate legacy system, right? If the only thing worse would be punch cards. And so you have a state-of-the-art system that needs to talk with a legacy system. And for us, this has been something that we handle quite easily because we abstract and everything is abstracted from each other and independently connected. And so within 12 weeks, we went from a standing start to having these robots connected. And then we subsequently added another technology into this mix maybe 6 months later. And the beauty of this is, 12 weeks is really fast, as was the schedule. We did it in 8 weeks. When we added this other system, the other technologies had no idea that we added another technology into the mix. There were no one was contacted. There was no Word documents. There were no contracts. It was simply adding another technology into the mix without impacting anything else. And on top of that, we're doing this through cloud to cloud and cloud to on-prem hybrid environments with sub 100 millisecond latency in the communication. And not only that, when you have this data normalization, you can do amazing things with the data. So SVT stands for simplicity, velocity, and transparency. And by having all the data come through and normalize, suddenly the data is no longer locked up in these islands or black boxes. And quite literally, we're creating this transparent box of data. But with that, we can now do autonomous and error alerting and root cause analysis, where we're pushing root cause analysis and analyzing problems before the robots or like the end users even know there's a problem. And this is happening across any communication method, whether it's text, Slack, email. We can actually push out alerts or notifications of positive events quite seamlessly. And it's exciting what this is enabling. And as you start to build out these ecosystem, I think we have well over 100 connected technologies on our platform across a pretty large customer base now. And when you start to see there's a value of interoperability as you add technologies into the ecosystem, there's the ability to plug things together becomes faster and faster. And the more customers you add, the more edge tech you add, the more host systems you add, the value of this ecosystem becomes increasingly valuable. And if you look at what this looks like at scale, is all the big circles are our end customers, and all the small circles are all the technologies that get tied together, and it creates this network effect that enables just scaling effects without huge amounts of technical debt. And we're really excited about what this brings. And while we got our start in warehousing robotics, what we found is that factories have the same problems. We started getting into manufacturing. We now have our first hospital customer, so a very large, world-renowned hospital system is now included in our customer base. We've also recently cemented contracted a deal with a DoD contractor named Simis. We're partnering on autonomous boats, and we're really excited about what this brings. But we're also working in like vehicle fleet management, leasing fleets, where they're using drones to do inventory across parking lots and such. It's what we see is that these problems are synonymous. In the canonical model that we created is industry agnostic, such that the difference between a robot moving an e-commerce package and a forklift and a tractor trailer or an armored vehicle, this is a move event in its most basic sense, and we designed it to be very primitive and to be easily workable with natural language. So we're super excited about what this brings and how we're scaling out. So with that, happy to take any questions and drill any as deep as you guys want to go.
AK, thanks. I appreciate it. When you stop sharing your screen, then Tim will share his. And Tim, you just need to unmute yourself.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. I see some familiar faces out there. And for those that ask, I do have a run streak that's been going on for a really, really long time. Typically, everyone always starts with, how is the run streak going? It is going strong. It's 3,869 days in a row that I have not missed a day of running. Yes, it's been cold. I'm a numbers guy. Yeah, I love numbers. Not all numbers are great. I want to show some numbers with you all. Looking back, so 18, 29, 33, 70. These are numbers that haunt me to some extent, because those numbers there represent our startup rankings for the Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Newport News, MSA. And So that's where we were in 2015. We were ranked number 18 in the nation. And then we fell to 29 in 2016, 2017, we dropped to 33. This all comes from the Kauffman Foundation. And in 2017, they stopped with those rankings. 23, we think that we're 70-ish, and that is because these are now independent third-party companies that do this, and they do it by city more so than MSA. But the thing is that we realized that we were not going in the right direction, and that is something that we needed to address and we needed to fix. So the thing is that nobody could understand how was this happening. Yeah, we had everything that we needed as a region to have a really strong entrepreneurial ecosystem. In Hampton Roads, we have the population density with 1.8 million people. We have the federal impact. So many people, they would just love to have a military installation. We have 16, we have NASA, we have Jefferson Lab, all the education components. We have federal programs, state programs, different chambers of commerce. And we have tourism. People are coming to the area. They know who we are, what we're all about. We have the deepest ports. So there's a lot of things. We kept on doubling down on entrepreneurship. How could this possibly be going the wrong way? And as it turns out, we were out celebrating ourselves, because the whole big thing is that we weren't competing with one another. Yeah, we had an agreement within Hampton Roads that we're not going to compete with you. We're going to avoid the zero-sum game. And the reality of it is that we were playing checkers. I mean, like, we're playing checkers while everybody else is playing chess. And the deal is, quite honestly, is that if we want to compete on the national stage, we've got to play chess. And what we're doing is we're competing against people's time. And what we're doing by that is we're causing a whole lot of confusion. I went through that whole list in the previous slide, and everybody had their own entrepreneurial program that they were running. And then that created conflicts. People had to then choose what program that they wanted to be a part of, what events that they wanted to go to. And then that was creating dilution. And so, like, that is the opposite of what we were trying to do. We want to create density. The more people that attend events, the more ideas that are exchanged, the more people that are talking to one another. And that is what we were going for there. And so we knew we needed to solve that challenge. By and large, that is how Innovate Hampton Roads came to be. So special thanks to Paul Hirschbiel, John Paris, and the founding fathers of what this initiative is. And the whole idea there, we just had to understand what that chessboard looked like. And so we started with just a curated calendar. One place where all the events could be. Innovate757.org/events, super easy to remember, but that's where everything that we know about, we put on our calendar. And that way, and we have everything tagged and categorized. People can go there, look to see what the events are. They can pick and choose. From a planning standpoint, hopefully you don't schedule an event at the same time another event, but like, we have dozens and dozens of events to take place now. The next challenge of talking to founders that we found, it was that we don't know about, we have to go to all these different places for the different opportunities. And so we consolidated all the news into one place. And then from a company standpoint, all the great things that they're doing, give us your news, and we will then share that with the rest of the community. And what that has then turned into is we're now the region storyteller, and we are the place to tell all of the things that are taking place. We bundle everything up into a weekly newsletter. We send that out every Tuesday morning. So I encourage you to sign up for that. Not my words. Other people tell me it's the best newsletter that they get, the only newsletter that they read from top to bottom, start to finish. So do consider joining us from that standpoint. This is just a reflection of the community. But we realized that was not enough. So what happened there is that we had to then start manufacturing wins. And this really is where AK and SVT comes into play, is because what we realized was that we had to leverage the chessboard. We knew that not one organization could do everything. Each organization had their own strength. And so we had to leverage those organizations that do it really, really well. For SVT Robotics standpoint, that was the launch pad at the time. And the launch pad was a business incubator. Just like Reactor, we manage Reactor for the city of Hampton. That is a place where we can help companies get started. But when it comes time to to join an accelerator, that was not anything that the Launchpad did. It's not anything that Reactor does. So we need to leverage organizations like 757 CoLab, Lighthouse Labs. We can get them to the point where they're ready to be accelerated, turn them over to those organizations, and then when they're done, we bring them back. We continue to share the story. They're able to share what they've learned with the different founders that they're around, and then we can share that success. And we were successful with that. We continue to be successful. So we can get companies funded from a pre-seed stage, seed stage, and to a certain extent, Series A, like SVT Robotics. That's all great, but we realized that it still was not enough. So now we're on to part 3 of solving the challenge. What is a Hampton Roads? And really what it comes down to, nobody knows what Hampton Roads is. And AK can share some light on this. It's you're either Northern Virginia, you're Richmond, or you're rural Virginia. I mean, like no one really knows what Hampton Roads is. So we have to tell the story. We double down on the storytelling to educate the rest of the world or the rest of people that can write checks what Hampton Roads is. So 1 to 36 is greater than 1 to 350. So if you look, there's locations that have a population of 100,000 or more, there's 350 of them in the United States. If you look at MSAs that are 1.7, 1.8 million or more, there's only 36. So from a competition standpoint, I would much rather go, I'm going to hedge my bets and try to beat and compete against 36 people as opposed to 350. So that's what we're focused as. We just are one region focusing on what our founders are doing, and we're trying to educate. In terms of education, we also are trying to share within the region all the great things that are happening. One of the things that makes Silicon Valley is that they share deal flow. When you have a company that's venture scale that is growing at a really fast pace, you want to share those investment opportunities with people within our region. So that is also what we're doing there. And finally, we want to show that companies within Hampton Roads, they can grow to the point where they can provide that return on investment. So to be venture backed, I mean, investors are not looking for a 2x, 3x return on that money. They're looking for a 50x return. So these companies, we have to show that they can grow at a significant rate. But it takes all of us to do that. So for example, we need to make sure that there's housing. We need to make sure there's workforce. We need to make sure that there's that we can attract the talent and we can keep the talent here so that companies like SVT can continue to grow. Because when they get funding, that money then has to go to work. And a lot of times that money has to go to work by having the employees and the talent they need in order to make those things happen. But we're doing, we're on the right path. We're in terms of like our audience, it continues to grow. Yesterday's work stretch, numbers we had are now our low days. So we're growing. Inbound investors, they're now contacting us. That never happened before. It was always us trying to find who the people are that were willing to invest in startups. Now they're reaching out to us. And because we understand what that chessboard looks like, we can make those connections with those companies because not all investors are created equal. Not all firms are equal. They all have different theses. They all have different times when they invest. They know what they're looking for. And then we understand who those companies are and when we can make those relationships happen. And an example of that is the Startup World Cup. We hosted that in August of last year. It was the one time we had the opportunity to put the 10 best companies in Virginia on one stage. So we had representation from Hampton Roads. We had representation from Richmond. We had representation from Northern Virginia and west of Richmond. All on one stage, we had the 10 best companies. And when you were able to see that in one event, that was really telling and demonstrated how far we came as a region and as a state. And we were just invited to participate in 2025. So that's coming back. Another reason why you need to connect with us on our newsletter so that you can stay informed of when we get the logistics for that event. But IV Watch from Newport News, they were the Virginia regional winners. They went on to take 3rd place overall for the entire world. I mean, so you're talking 100 companies or 100 localities, countries. Our very own IV Watch finished 3rd place overall. Super incredible, great story for us. And that's what we need to continue to do. Where do we want to go? We want to create a unicorn on each of the 7 cities. And for those that don't understand, a unicorn is a company that's valued at $1 billion or more. And people are like, how are you going to create 7 unicorns in Hampton Roads? Yeah, it's a crazy idea. It's a crazy goal, but look, SVT Robotics, that's in Norfolk. AK, I know that's one of his goals is to become a unicorn company. Match that with IV Watch, who I just talked about, Newport News. We have Psionic in Hampton and Drone Up in Virginia Beach. That's 4 companies right there, all within Hampton Roads. We're already more than halfway there. We just need to continue telling that story and go. With one IPO, that's going to change the entire region. We share those investment opportunities with people locally, with the shares and equity that the employees have within these startups. One IPO changes everything. The amount of wealth that's created instantly with that IPO, the cycle then starts all over again. And we understand it's going to take a ton of focus. It's a long-term approach, but with your help, we can get there. We can make this happen. But we need you to be there. This is bigger than us. The Innovate Hampton Roads, we are really, really lean. We do everything that we possibly can, but like this is a representation of SVT Robotics and AK and his team. We're only good as the startups that we have. We have the easy job. AK is the one out there grinding every single day, making things happen. But like we understand we are only as good as they are, and they make it really, really easy for us. Nothing gathers a crowd like a crowd. I mean, so the more momentum we have on our side, we're just going to keep on moving faster and faster and faster so that we can bring the visibility to the companies and the founders that we need. And sharing is caring. So like what makes Silicon Valley is the sharing of the deal flow. I mean, it's just like it's a win-win environment, and we need to create that there. So whether if it's investors looking to invest in these companies, or if it's startups that can partner, founders that can learn from one another, we need to be able to share those opportunities with one another. Connect with us so that we can make that happen. Because really, everyone talks about the brain drain that happens, when it comes to young talent. The same thing is going to happen with our startups here. We can only build our startups to a certain point, and then if we don't care for them, or if we don't get the funding, or we don't give them the success path that they need, we run the risk of them relocating to somewhere else where they can get that. But now is our time. I mean, this is our time to act. We've got the path. We have the momentum. With your help, we know that we can get there. And that's my part, and I'm happy to open that up to questions as well. And there's my contact information and how you connect with us.
And that was a great overview on what's going on with Innovate Hampton Roads. I've got some questions for you, but let me first ask some questions to AK. AK, in your presentation, you talked about you guys are in factories and warehouses, and you mentioned some other applications. Can you kind of expand upon those? Where else? What other industries do you see your software being used? And you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think a couple of exciting places are the automotive sector, post-manufacturing. There's an entire ecosystem of like transportation, warehousing, leasing, insurance that requires all this data sharing. Frankly, we have a company we're working with named Holman, which is one of these massive companies that no one's ever heard of, but everybody here has been impacted by them. They are so vertically integrated, and a company like that really can use our platform to take their business to 11. But I think the other really interesting place is the autonomous interoperability needs for just the public sector, and specifically DoD applications. And I think this is going to be an increasingly important area. And frankly, we've been for the past 6 years testing this product, or not testing, but it's deployed in production across some of the largest companies on earth, and is pretty well hardened, but also is easily adapted in over to the public sector. So we're just stoked to be able to engage there, and we're excited to what that's going to bring. And I think, as AI starts to impact us, The need for transparent data that is believable, that will reduce the probability of hallucination, is going to be absolutely essential. And, the way we normalize data, I think, is going to really empower, technologies to be able to do this. Also, our ability to deal with legacy systems connecting to state-of-the-art tech. I mean, this is a problem that every company, every organization wrestles with. And I know in the public sector, this is a problem too. So we feel like we can really help companies and organizations really level up without having to ditch all their legacy systems.
You mentioned AI, artificial intelligence. What technologies do you see coming, and where does the AI play or fit in all that?
Well, it's moving so fast that it's kind of hard to make predictions. But in fact, it's like if most people I know in tech, I'd say that they are surprised at the pace of change that's happening within Gen AI, and and what it's doing is frankly, it's keeping us all on our toes to say, okay, we need to do the Gretzky and skate to where the puck is. But I think there are physical systems that are really interesting. Humanoid robots are coming, right? I think they're a bit far away before they're really usable in mass, but far away probably means 5 years. We'll start seeing it in the next, 1 to 2 years in small scale, but I think this is coming, right? So, and the physical world is really designed for the human form factor. So having a robotic form factor that can operate in the human world, I think is tremendously impactful. But even more impactful is just the ability for systems to interoperate with AI and come to just ultra fast optimizations. With access to data sets that normally wouldn't hook up to each other. I think it's super exciting to know where this is coming. And I'm a data dork. I love the power of data. And I can tell you that back when I was starting out with some of the largest companies, them just getting data out of one system I call it the A plus B equals C problem, where you want to do the algebra equation of adding A plus B, and so you can display C. But data A isn't sitting in this system and B sitting in that system. And it's a 6-month IT project to add two numbers together and create a report that spits out daily. I mean, this is a problem everywhere. So eliminating that problem after multiple years of, or coming up on, 2 decades now of being a proponent for this concept, the industry 4.0 concept, I think we're close to being able to see that as an actual reality.
And AK, we have a question from Peggy Lane. Peggy's one of our board members there in Hampton Roads. She wants to know where do you get your workforce talent? Are you getting it locally? Are you getting it from outside the area? Is it a combination? Where is it coming from? And how big is your workforce?
It's a combination, and we have people that are local. I would say that the people who are local tend to be some of the technical workforce and also some of the experts in the domain. But our sales force, our sales organization tends to be very distributed because they travel all the time anyway. I think during COVID, when COVID hit, we had to hire all these people, and I hadn't met most of my company for a year until, Delta started to tamp down, right? And when you do that, you have to figure out how to operate in a remote environment, fully remote environment. So right now we're a hybrid environment. But there's some like, sorry to homes.com and some other companies in the region, but we got some great talent from some people at local companies that, people I know in the Bay Area. Some of the technologists we have are every bit as good as the people in the Bay Area. Now, there's of course going to be specialty, type disciplines that aren't really abundant locally, but the ability to source talent here and do it at a fraction of the cost of other areas is actually quite important. Is quite possible.
Tim, let me ask you, what efforts, can you share what efforts you guys are doing to help the Hampton Roads region compete on a national entrepreneurial stage?
It's really been that focal point of telling the story as a region, and we focus with the search engine optimization, the practices that we put into place, the inbound that we get from viewership is really, really strong. Investors are always looking to go earlier and earlier from a investment standpoint. So the Mid-Atlantic, Virginia is an area that is becoming more and more interesting. And like with us showing that story, so like if you were, I don't know the exact URL, but if it's like innovate757.org/news/SVT, like we can have the whole story of SVT of everything that we did, and we break that down by each company. So like from an investor standpoint, if you want to do due diligence on a company, you can see like we start tracking these companies. And again, I'll reference that to like the chessboard. So we have the companies that we see that are doing the right things, and we just are always telling that story. And so that is capturing the attention. And with the number of companies that are doing great things, it continues to snowball and build upon itself.
Maybe an ask for me, or a thing that I think would really help the startup community. If you're a business that operates locally, if you're a mature company, we have some really huge companies like Huntington Ingalls, Still, and so forth that are in the area, Centera. Try to buy or use the technologies locally, because even more than investment that startups need is actually revenue and people using the product, especially in the early stages. And, right now, our first healthcare company customer is in Minnesota, right? And, why did it need to be Minnesota, and why did it need to take 5 years for that to happen, right? And, it seems like we're not doing enough to connect these mature businesses with the startups to actually get real engagement. And when you have a startup that has traction, you have paying customers, the capital will flow into the region. It doesn't have to be local capital. In fact, there's far more non-local capital than there is, there's probably 1,000x more that we can hope to raise in this area until we start to get these local unicorns in place.
Great point. Tim, there's a question, another question from Peggy. She wants to know, does Innovate Hampton Roads have a sister organization or group in the Richmond area? And are you all working together?
A lot of people, we do not. A lot of people ask, a lot of people like, how do we get something like that and pick a city or Charlottesville, Richmond, Northern Virginia? We do not. But one of the things that people don't realize that they should is it is nothing for an entrepreneur or a founder to hop in the car and go from Richmond to Hampton Roads and vice versa. So we do include a lot of Richmond in the story. We falling in place with your mission. I mean, we really look at it as one region. So we do include a lot of Richmond in the stuff that we do with the podcast we have every Thursday, the Fervent Four Show. We have a lot of Richmond-based companies, but we do what we can. But we do not have a focus or an office or a presence in Richmond per se.
We have as many developers from Richmond as we do from Hampton Roads. So like there's a pretty strong developer community in Richmond that is high quality.
Well, we always did build the platform so that we could replicate it into other places. We just haven't got there yet.
I guess Startup Virginia is similar, which is based here, is similar to what you all are doing to some degree.
Yeah, I mean they're more of a place to grow, incubator / accelerator type of thing. So there are some similarities, but a lot of differences as well. They're a
Gotcha.
great organization.
Well, thank you, both of you. I appreciate it. We're at that witching hour up close. So let me just close up with share the screen again. We'll just finalize some things here. Let me just remind everyone that you can go to our website, RVA757 Connect. You can see our various initiatives that we have, our 4 major initiatives, as well as other information about different programs that we put on, sponsor. Just a reminder that the recording of this will be available later this afternoon on our website, and I'll send everyone a link out about this so you can go back and review it or forward it on to your friends and colleagues. Next month, our next Innovation Spotlight webinar will be on Wednesday, February 5th. Remember, all of our webinars are on the first Wednesday of every month. This month was a little bit different because of the New Year's Day was last Wednesday. But we don't have any in July or August. So mark those on your calendars from noon to 1 o'clock, the first Wednesday of every month. Again, we want to thank our sponsor for this webinar, which is Cox Communications. Thank you for their support. And also thank you all for joining us today, and hope to see you next month on February the 5th. Have a great afternoon and stay warm.